And this has been my kitchen.
Well, hello everybody, and this is SonicBlu's Cajun Kitchen. I guarantee you're going to like what we're going to be preparing for you. Now, we're going to take ourselves back to New Orleans, Louisiana with this recipe, and we are going to make some red beans and rice. Guarantee you're going to love this. Alright, so we got about a couple of pounds of red kidney beans that have been the dried variety. You don't want the canned variety. Do not get the canned variety for this. You want to make red beans and rice, you got to do it the right way. You got to do it the way the Cajuns make it. Guarantee. So, get yourself 2 bags of dried red kidney beans. And then we're going to use some of this pork. Now you can use any kind of pork you want to. You can use salt cured pork, you can use pickled pork, seasoned pork, and what we're going to do is we're going to marinate it in the seasonings overnight. So that way it'll be nice and spicy. And then we're going to add this ham. Now since we don't have tasso, which is a perfect type of ham to use for this recipe, but since we're not in New Orleans, we're going to use some diced ham and we're going to season it up the way a tasso would be seasoned. Now tasso, those of you that don't know what tasso is a seasoned ham, and it's really delicious in this dish. It really, really goes great. But since we don't have access to tasso, we're going to make do ourselves. First thing you want to do is get yourself a big old stock pot like this one, and we are going to put into that stock pot, there's my measuring cup, we're going to put into there 10 cups of water. So we're just going to do this 4 cups at a time. This one for 2 pounds. This will be good for 1 pound. We are doubling up on our recipe, so for 2 pounds, you might want to be using 1 pound instead of 2, but we're a hungry group. So we're going to double up on that recipe and add 10 cups of water.
10 more cups?
No, just 10 total, or 20 cups of water total. So that's 12, 16, and 4 more make 20. Okay, so that's 20 cups of water. Perfect. Okay. Now, what we're going to do with these, we're going to get us a strainer. Colander, strainer, big old colander like this. And what we're going to do is we're going to use it to clean our beans. We're going to rinse off our beans and make sure that all of our beans are whole and not cut. If you find any broken beans in there, get them suckers out of there. We're just going to drop all of our beans down in there. There's one that's broken. Okay, we're just going to just dig through this real quick, see if we come up with any more broken ones. Don't see any. Just some real nice looking skinny beans. That was the only broken one. Okay, that's good. That's good. The rest of them look good. Let's get that other one in there. Open that up. There we go. Don't see any broken ones in that bag. But I will look just to make sure. Alright. Looks like a couple of pounds worth of good kidney beans. Alright, now what we're going to do is take our cold water, and we're just going to run these under cold water for a while and make sure we rinse off everything, make sure they're nice and clean. You always want clean ingredients going into your food. That's the best. There's another broken one. No, that's not much broken. Yeah, we'll leave that in. Now, you see the whole history behind making red beans and rice and making it nice and tasty is that, well, you just can't cook traditional old red beans the old traditional way and eat them like that because, well, it doesn't have much flavor. And red kidney beans have like this, a lot of starch in the middle, and having all that starch in there will sort of overtake the flavor of your recipe. So what we're going to do is we're going to cook these up real good and flavor it. And we're going to flavor it with this meat. We've got some vegetables in the refrigerator we're also going to add into the mix. Tonight we're just doing the prep work. The prep work is going to take all night. So overnight we're going to marinate this, we're going to soak those, marinate these meats, and then by the time we're ready to cook this stuff and get the rest of the ingredients going, get this on the stove top, we'll be ready. Alright, so let's get a nice switch going through our beans. They're looking clean. Alrighty. Those are some really clean beans. Okay. Now, with the clean beans, you just want to take them right to your stock pot. Drop them right in there. In your pot. Okay. Then we're going to put the lid on it. And these are going to soak overnight. We're going to put them on the back burner so nobody touches it. Now, comes the next part. Is the marinating process. Let's get this. There's a lot of beans in it. Let's do the ham first, and we can use this big bowl for it. So, what I like to do is get already diced ham, but if you got yourself a ham steak or maybe even a slab of ham, dice it up nice and fine. The finer the better. And those are perfect chops of diced ham right there. That size is what we're looking for. I saw those in a package. I'm like, oh, that is the perfect size for red beans and rice. Absolutely perfect. But it's not seasoned. It's not tasso. So what we're going to do is make it as close to a tasso as we can get. We got some Tony Chacher seasonings, some Creole seasoning, and we're just going to dump in a good portion of that. Mix it up with your hand. Cover it with some more. Mix it up some more. Okay, and then one more. So do this 3 times, and you just need about a pound of diced ham, seasoned to perfection. Okay, now that's not quite tasso. Now, with the shaker part, we're going to shake the seasoning over the top. Because now we got it mixed in. Now we're just going to cover the top and just shake it. Okay, next, grab you some plastic wrap. So there's our tasso. We're going to stick it right in the fridge so it'll be nice and ready for when we're ready to make red beans and rice. That'll go down. There. Okay. Next up comes our pork product. Now you can use any kind of pork meat that you want. And since we only had the country style rib, alright, now what we're going to do is we're going to take our country rib. I'm going to take 3 out of this package and just kind of cover the bottom of our bowl with that so that we can now cure it with some salt. Okay, I'm going to just rub that in a bit. Okay, and then reach for, you guessed it, the Creole seasoning. We're just going to shake it over the top there. Shake it over the top. Okay, get some on the underneath of it too. And we're just going to rub it as a rub. Going to toss this meat onto the other side and let that juice from the meats and the moisture kind of set all that seasoning in place. And we're going to sprinkle some on the bottoms of our country rib. Okay, until you got that. Now, with the next 3, we're going to do the same thing because we're doubling up on our recipe. So we got 3 pieces of country rib. This is going to be some great pork right here, folks. Okay, just like before, I'm going to salt it. Just the tops need salting. You don't need to salt all over. There's going to be plenty of sodium just in our pork product alone here. Kind of rub it in to get it all nice and settled in place. Oops. Yep. And then go ahead and reach for your Tony Cheshires Creole seasoning. Get that stuff all over. Tony Chachere's Creole seasoning can be sold anywhere that you can buy seasonings from. Grocery stores, convenience stores maybe. And you always want to get nothing but the best. And that would be Tony Chachere's Creole seasoning. Okay, so now that we got that in place, let's turn those back over again. And then with some residue of seasoning you got on your hands, because you're working with your hands here, kind of rub the sides of them with a little bit of the excess seasoning. Kind of flip them over a little bit, get them all nice and coated. Once you got that, now it's time for another piece of plastic wrap. I'm going to put this in the fridge, let this marinate overnight. And this will be just about as good as salt-cured pork or pickled pork that you can get. So we got our tasso in the refrigerator, our makeshift tasso, and we got our pork product all marinating in the seasonings. And we also have our beans soaking. We're going to be soaking those overnight. And then when we wake up, or when we're ready to prepare these, we're going to check on our beans, check the consistency, make sure they're nice and soft. And if they are, then we can proceed to starting to cook them. We're going to start with adding 4 more cups of water to that, because you're going to lose some of that water overnight. So 4 more cups of water will be going into that pot. And then while that's cooking, we're going to prepare our vegetables. We're going to prepare our meats. We're going to get our meats out of the refrigerator, cut them up, cut up our pork product, throw those in there first, let those get cooking. Then we're going to throw in our tasso. We're going to throw in our vegetables. We're going to mix all that together, and then we're going to get some rice together, and you got red beans and rice. We got meats. We got veggies. We got water. We got rice. We got my slap chopper. I don't think you guys have seen this one. This is my clear slap chopper. This is an exact replica of the slap chop, but it's not a slap chop, but it's clear. And we have a cup to form our rice, and we got our hot, well, not quite hot, but we got our cast iron skillet, and lastly, our pot of beans. Now, that is normal. They're going to foam up because of all the starch that's in there. That is normal. So we're going to bring up a spoonful of these beans here to show you how large they get. After they soak up a lot of that water, they're going to get pretty much 3 times their size. So, now, let's do this. Now that our beans are soaked, we got to get rid of this old water and make new water. Get a colander like this, drain out all your beans. Oh, smell those kidney beans, nice and soaked. Gonna rinse them. Just a quick rinse, nothing too major. And then we're going to need some of that at the bottom, so I'll just go ahead and dump it right back in there. We just don't want all that foam in our water. Okay, that's 20 cups for 2 pounds of beans. Now, that's a lot of beans and a lot of water. What we're going to do here is we are going to stick this on the back burner and cook it on medium-high. And then we are going to wait for that to reach a simmering boil. Then when it reaches a simmering boil, we're going to put our meats in. Let me show you how we're doing our meats. We're going to turn on our cast iron skillet to also a medium-high. Let's work on our meats first. We're going to get out our pork, which has been marinated overnight in our beautiful Cajun seasoning. We're going to cut into large-sized pieces, just about like that. So these will cut into 3 sections. These are the perfect size for it. Okay. Now we're going to take this bunch of meat and we're going to wait for that to become really hot. It's starting to get hot, okay? And we're going to sear our, that's not as hot as I thought it would be. There, it's getting hotter, and it's getting hotter. We are going to sear our pork by cooking each side for about a minute to 2 minutes on each side until it reaches a nice crispiness on either side. There we go. So get that started, get that nice and hot, and we're just going to sear it. Now you're probably thinking, where's the oil? It's seasoned into our cast iron skillet, and it makes cooking these to the perfect consistency that we're looking for. Now that might be too much water for 2 pounds of beans, because when we put our meats and our vegetables and everything in it, that thing is going to overflow. So, and this stock pot will only do 1 pound. So 1 pound per 10 cups of water. This is 20 cups plus 2 pounds of beans. And by the time we get our meat in there and all of our vegetables in there, that thing is going to be so overflowing, it's going to dump like all over the place. So I may have to prepare half of this and just show you the normal allotment, because like we're a big group, we need another stock pot in order to accommodate this big group. Sadly, unfortunately. It's starting, yeah, there we go. And now we're starting to get somewhere. Alright, let's do this. In the big bowl again. Whatever that was, I'll get it later. Okay, so I'm going to need to clean this bowl out, put half of the beans in here, redo the beans to where it's just 1 pound and 10 cups, and then half the meat will be going into it, so I can make this again later. And I need a bowl to put the other half of the beans in it. Alright, that's what we can do. Definitely do that. That makes a huge bit of difference. Alright, turn that back up again. Meanwhile, let's check out our meat. Oh, yep. Not quite, not quite. I'm going to cook this fully to make sure it's all cooked through and through. And we want to wait for that to reach a simmering boil. And then once that reaches a simmering boil, we'll just take the meat straight into our pot, let it boil, and then we're going to take our tasso, our ham, and we're going to mix that in as well. We're not going to cook it, we're just going to drop it right in. This is the only pork product that needs to be cooked in this meal. Mainly because it's bigger pieces of meat, it's going to take a while to cook. To pre-cook it, get it that really good, like singy, crispy outer texture is something that can only be done in a cast iron skillet. And try not to breathe in too much of that Creole seasoning, because it'll get you. That's why Cajuns talk like this. If they breathe in too much of that seasoning, I'll garr-on-tee. Oh, wow. This has got a good dose of that stuff. Oh, yeah. Turn that back over there. Turn that back down. Let's move this toward the middle.
Smells wonderful. Just don't get over the smoke.
The smokiness will get you. Okay. So when some of these are looking done, like the middle pieces here, like the little middle pieces, we're going to let those cook a little more. But when they're starting to get done, we can start moving those to the outside, move the ones on the outside to the inside, and that will ensure the ones on the cooler part of your cast iron skillet will get cooked. Move that over here, move that over here. That is on the outside, that's on the outside. And move around, move around, and move around like a record baby. Okay, now put you on there. Oh, baby. Garr-on-tee. Woo, dig them fumes. And I love all them cooking, but god dang, them fumes are deadly. Potent as hell. So, but our pork is coming up nicely, and it's cooking nice and quick, and that's one of the advantages of having a cast iron skillet. It cooks everything hot, cooks everything quick, and it doesn't mess around. That's why I love cast iron skillets. You can blacken food in it, you can sear food in it, nothing flat. You can do very much anything with it. You cook blackened catfish in it. That's a good deal. I'll show you how to make blackened catfish sometime.
Have we done that?
No, never did.
We've made it before, we just never filmed it.
No, never did catfish. Never done catfish.
I still want some crawfish etouffee again.
That stuff's good. Alright, so now with the done pieces, well, not yet. We're still not quite there. So, where's my spoon? I had the spoon up here. There it is. Okay, so let's give this a little mix and see. Okay. Now, hopefully, since we've ran that through water so many times, it's probably not going to be as brown in color when we're done with it, because we rinsed off a lot of the consistency that is needed to make red beans and rice. I just hope that it still looks good in the end. I mean, it'll probably look really, really clean, but this is supposed to make it look like it's a thick sauce, like a thick brown sauce. The beans give off its own thick brown type of sauce as it cooks. But if you rinse it off too many times, it's not going to give off that thick brown sauce. But I hope that there's enough to make it the consistency we want. All right, let's check.
Almost the same as opening a can of red kidney beans.
Yeah, pretty much.
Thick sauce.
It can get pretty thick. Oh yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Let's put you down there. Check all of our meats. Make sure it's coming along nicely. Yep. Okay. Yeah, I know. Feel them fumes. Dig on them fumes.
It stings you.
It does. All right. Now we just got to wait for you to reach your boil. So we'll turn you down to a medium high. Going to add those to it. Then we're going to put in one of the two smoked sausage kielbasa, and we're going to sear it on either side for about 4 to 5 minutes, or until you get a nice crispiness on either side. Come on, water, hurry up and boil.
I hear it bubbling a little.
All right. Check again, and yes, we are starting to reach a boil. Albeit a very slow simmering, but give me 1 more minute of a simmering boil. In the meantime, let's go over here to our tasso. Look at that. This is our makeshift tasso. And that's all going in to our pot. You don't need to pre-cook it beforehand, because pre-cooking it will cook it too much. For a diced ham like this, you just throw it right in, it'll cook it just fine.
Now, do we want to use all of that or half of it?
We're going to use half of that. Gotta use half of it. So half a pound of tasso will be going in. Now that it's got its simmering, let's add the tasso. Going to add a half a pound of tasso. A little bit more. That's about good. And we're going to add half of our meats right away. Yeah, there we go. Perfect. Okay, so now the rest of this will go into our next. Let's cover that up just for the moment. You need to put that. That's the bulk of these. That's the bowl I want for. Actually, let me put it in the Picasso. That'd be good. Put it right back where we marinated this, but let me rinse this out because it's touched. That's raw meat. Oh God, that seasoning got right up in my nose. Okay, so I'm gonna wash this out because it's touched raw meat, so we gotta wash this out completely before we put cooked meat into it because we don't want to cross-contaminate. Now,
I'm sure we're going to make the other half pretty soon.
yeah,
Knowing our group.
yeah. There it is. Throw it together. Everything's prepped. Okay, so we're gonna toss those in quick. Okay, that's our meat. First, we're gonna wash our celery. We're gonna need about 3 celery sticks. Okay, now working with anything Cajun, anything from Louisiana, especially New Orleans. The holy trinity out there is celery, onion, and bell pepper. Since I cannot work around bell pepper, we have to omit the bell pepper. But for this recipe, you would need half of a bell pepper diced very finely. So moving along, we are going to use the other 2 in the 3 of the holy trinity of vegetables in New Orleans, Louisiana. We're going to cut off our ends of our celery. Okay. And then we're just going to chop them up finely with our slap chopper. Just going to cut them down to size so it'll fit. Okay. We'll be done with this step in no time. There.
Malfunction.
Smaller. Now for our celery, I'm gonna take a few guys there. About like that. We want them fine, chopped pieces, just like that. There's our celery. Right into a bowl there. Next, go for our onion, which is part 2 of our 2-part trinity. 2-part trinity. I know you Cajuns are saying, come on, don't be a wuss, put in the bell pepper. I would if I could, trust me. I need to really get that protective cover thing up there. I should have thought of that first, but... there it is. Okay. Perfectly diced onion. Okay, next. Guess those little bits aside. So we got 2 of our 3 trinity. Let's get some minced garlic in there too. Gonna need 3 cloves of garlic for this recipe. There's that. Next, take our parsley. It's fresh cut parsley. First, I'm gonna make sure it's rinsed. Once your parsley is rinsed, take it over to your cutting board, remove the stems. Don't need them. And then we're just gonna chop the celery very finely.
This isn't celery, it's parsley.
Onion parsley.
We're slightly tired today. Or is it from the fumes?
No, it's from being frantic and having to downsize the recipe count. Okay, now if you want to leave a few sprigs of parsley off to the side so you can use it as a garnish, that'd be a good idea as well. Okay, so we're going to gather up all of the leaves, chop them very finely, very finely, very finely.
Slap chop?
Nope, not for leaves. Doesn't do a very good job on leafies. For parsley, fresh parsley, you just need a knife. Okay, we're going to set our parsley aside because we don't need to put it in just yet. This is what we need to put in now. Okay. Okay, so turn that down to a medium high. Then, we're going to dump our vegetables. No, we're not going to dump our vegetables. We're going to dump our vegetables in here. Almost messed up there. Almost messed up there.
Franticness.
Okay, so some of the vegetables went in there, but that's okay. Alright, so now I'm going to turn this back on. Add a little oil. A little splash. Okay. I'm going to cook that up with the onion, celery, garlic, all in there. Let's give this a stir. Oh yeah, you see that brown sauce kind of forming there. Let me turn this down a little bit more to calm our water. You definitely want to stir this occasionally because you don't want beans burning at the bottom of your stock pot. Or anything else for that matter. Okay. Look at that. That's going to be some good stuff, I guarantee. Turn that down. Calm my water down. Water, calm down. I turned you down a long time ago. Okay, now another thing about working with cast iron skillet, that handle's going to be pretty damn hot. So watch how you handle your handle. Okay, now we're going to cook this until the onions are translucent and our celery is soft and our garlic is a bit roasted. And you can look and see all of your different ingredients there. Your onion is starting to get a little translucent. We're starting to get a little brown in color from the meat mixing in with the seasoning, the juices from the meats and the seasoning of the meats mixing into our vegetable. You can start to see that it's starting to turn this lovely brown. That's exactly what we want. Okay. Okay. Turn that off again. And what we're going to do, take the lid off of this. And it's smelling really good. It smells really good here, folks. Okay, we're just going to take our veg, dump it right off to the side here. And then what I like about this cast iron skillet, it's got a little lip here. So you can just push everything right off into your pan. There's our vegetable. Okay, give another stir. And let that cook for 1 hour. 1 hour on medium heat. And then I'm going to show you what our next step is going to be. So for the moment, I'm going to clean all this up. I'm going to show you the next step and where we need to go. We still got our parsley. Parsley will go in a little later. It'll go in for the last 20 minutes. So will our smoked kielbasa. So smoked kielbasa, we're going to cook that when it comes closer to time to put it into our stock pot. We're going to cook that up. We're going to sear it for about 4 to 5 minutes on either side. Then we're going to cut it up and add it to our already existing pot of goodness. And then we're going to add our parsley and some bay leaves, and then we're going to let that cook for the rest of that 20-25 minutes. After all of that is make our rice. Got a rice steamer right over here. So this is going to cook 1 cup of rice. And then this might be too big of a bowl to shape it with for 1 cup, so I'll just do 2 cups of rice. We'll do 2 cups of rice, and that'll, okay, good. Now my water calmed down. Turn that back on to a medium. So now it's a calmer boil. That's what we need right there. And I can look and see how consistent the sauce is coming along. Yep, it's still coming along. It's still browning. It's still browning. That's going to cook for 1 hour. So it's 8:20 now, so we'll be back at 9:20 to check this out, and we'll do the rest of the ingredients and add to it. So join us in an hour. I've got a lot of cleaning up to do. Let's check on our beans. Oh, look at that. Yeah, that sauce did brown up nicely. Really nicely. Beans are looking good. Meat's looking great. The vegetables are pretty much a part of that broth. Look at that. Oh yeah, you find little vegetables here and there. But we're just at the halfway mark. So now, it's time for us to do our sausage. Get our parsley in there, get some bay leaves in there, give it a good stir, and cook it for another 25 minutes, and then we'll be working on our rice during that time. Just waiting for this thing to get heated up again so that we can cook our smoked sausage. Garr-on-tee, that's going to make it taste good. Not quite yet. Getting hot. You can always tell how hot your cast iron skillet's getting ready, so you can touch it, and if you just pull it away real quick, and if it's starting to feel hot, then you know how far along you are before it really heats up. So we need to get that thing hot, blazing hot. Throw that on top. 4 minutes on one side, 4 minutes the other side. Check it out. We're gonna cut it up, add it to our broth, or add it to our beans and our mixture there, and then add our parsley, a few bay leaves. Let that cook for about 4, maybe 5 minutes. Meantime, let's come over here, grab us some parsley, some parsley. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, what's green and sings? Elvis Parsley. Thank you very much. We're just going to take half that parsley. Oh man, that smells nice too. That smells real good. That parsley is going to give it a little color. Nice. Real good. Okay, the other half of the parsley will be saved for the next time we make this. We're going to need about 4 bay leaves. 1, 2, 3, and a 4. Well, that's a half a bay leaf, but that'll do. Pop that back on. Turn the fire up a little bit more. Oh, just a little bit more. A little bit more. Oh yeah. A little bit on that side, a little bit on the other side. Get this nice and smoking hot. Now the whole point of doing this is to get a nice texture on your sausage. And any meat that you put in there is going to have a nice texture to it too, because people in Louisiana, when they cook the heck out of stuff and they make it taste nice. They got a nice crispiness on the outside of it and absolutely juicy and delicious on the inside with a lot of Cajun style sauce to cover it up, and it just gives you a whole world of flavor. That's why I love Louisiana cooking. squirt out any of the juices that might come about, but yeah, we're coming along. A couple more minutes. Couple more minutes, we're gonna cut it up. Perfect. Let's get some more on the other side too. Get a little bit more crispness on the other side because I like that. I love that. Okay. That is ready for cutting. Take it right over here to the cutting board. And we're going to cut up our sausage into, ooh, that's going to be hot too, about that size. We're looking about that size. We're going to cut straight in. Once your sausage is all cut up, I'm going to add it to that mix there. Oh!
Lost one.
Don't lose the sausage, it's precious. Mix all of that good stuff in, and look at all that mixture we got there, folks. Look at all that. Look at all that good stuff in there. I really can't wait to see what this is going to be all tasting like when we put it all together and serve it up on plates. Our beans, the parsley going in there, and all our vegetable is in there, and our sausage in there, and our pork is in there, tasso. Everything in there is just mixing together nicely. So now what we're going to do is going to keep it at the same temperature. We're going to cook it for another 25 to 30 minutes. So join us then. We'll get the big unveiling. We'll show you the next step. And we're going to serve this up. It's going to be delicious. You're going to love it. It's going to be red beans and rice, baby. Look at that smoking. Smoking hot red beans and rice. Let's get that off of the burner. That's going to be hot. When all the smoke clears up, we're going to have a reveal and see how all these came out. Look at that. That's ready. That is ready to go. That's ready to serve. That looks good. That's going to stay bubbling and boiling for a little bit, so we say we let that sort of rest for a little bit. And while we're doing that, check on our rice. That rice looks good. Good, good. And we get a spoon. I gotta spoon it out. Kind of mold it into this little thing there and just pop it right on top. Alright. First off, let's get them bay leaves on out of there. Gonna go for some unsalted butter. We got two different things of butter in here. Well, we just need one. Alright, we're just gonna go for a half a stick. Got a little bit too much there, but this will be fine. So about a half a stick of butter. We'll just drop that right in there. And make sure it's the unsalted butter because we got plenty of sodium going in there from when we cured our pork. Now we're going to wait for that butter to melt, and the heat from our ingredients are going to help melt that butter down. Yeah, let's go ahead and stir that in. Start stirring that in until that butter melts. It'll help melt a little faster if it's stirred in. Maybe that other bay leaf will pop up while we're stirring. Maybe. That's some good beans right there. Good beans, good meat, good cooking, good eating. Now for a little extra touch. If you can get some Chef Paul Prudhomme's Poultry Magic Seasoning, I highly recommend that. But since no store around here carries it, I have to go on a mad dash all over town to find it. I'm going to use my mix of seasoning. I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit in there. Just a little. Just a little. Okay, about that much. This is just a mixture of seasoned salt, garlic powder, onion powder, little paprika and a little bit of chili powder. And some ground cumin. Mix that all together and this is what you get. A little seasoning there. Okay, not to forget a little bit of ground pepper. Get some ground pepper up in there. Always want to add stuff like that to taste. Don't need much pepper because we got plenty of Creole seasoning in there to make it flavorful. And that butter will make the sauce, or your broth, your bean broth, taste, give it like a creamy texture, like a nice creaminess there. And I still can't see that last bay leaf. But there is our red beans and rice all cooked up to perfection. Let's take a little look at there. Yep. Now you might see a few burn marks here and there, because this stuff gets awful hot. What we're going to do is plate it now. And I'm being very careful to look for that last bay leaf. There it is. There's that last bay leaf. Found it. Okay, now I can plate this stuff with a better conscience. There's our red beans and red beans there. Okay. Now here's what we're going to start packing our rice. Just with a spoon into a bowl like this, we're just going to pack it up. The back of the spoon to compact it down, and right on top. See? Isn't that pretty? And garnish it up with a little piece of parsley on the top. And there is your garr-on-tee good red beans and rice, flavored with sausage, the tasso, the vegetables, and all that good stuff in our red beans and rice. You got a nice beautiful little thing of rice on the top there. And I want to get a taste of this. There we go. So, this is fine Louisiana cooking right here, folks. First, I want to get a taste of the rice, maybe a little piece of sausage here. Magnificent. And now, a little bit of the rice. Pretty darn good. But, don't just take my word for it. Try making this at home at your house and see how well your red beans and rice can come out when you make this. Just remember, stir that stuff constantly. Don't let that stuff burn at the bottom of the pan, because you might come away with a bit of a more harsh flavor, which is what I'm experiencing here. But you got a lot of other flavors in there that kind of mask it. You can still taste the burn. It's not terrible. It doesn't ruin the whole thing, but it's definitely recommended that you keep that stuff stirring. Otherwise, really nice, really delicious. A beautiful dish for any Nolin fans out there in your family. If they're from Nolans, make this for them. They'll just feel right at home. For Cooking with SonicBlu, this is SonicBlu Dogfold. Sending you all back to Nolans, Louisiana with red beans and rice. Try it at home and see how well you can dig it. And remember, if you ain't cooking good, you're not eating good. I guarantee. Tonight we're just doing the prepare. Take two. Are we ready?
You know
We're
I recorded
ready.
that. Bloopers.
Now, trumpet. Oops. Yeah, it needs to be a simmering boil. Like maybe covering it would have been a good idea too. Just when you got all this going on, you kind of tend to forget a few steps, like cover your beans when you boil them. So yes, cover your beans when you boil them, then work on your meats. But nobody will ever know. Don't tell anybody we didn't do that step. Nobody will ever know. It just takes a little longer.